everybody, and welcome to the World Ginger Running YouTube channel, live broadcast and podcast. Today we are speaking to former NHS nurse turned health and wellbeing coach Joanne Lee Smith, who also has the health condition fibromyalgia since being involved in a car accident in 2008. But since she has run a 100-mile ultra, she's currently got a free 5-day challenge to help people get back on track after illness, injury and chronic health issues like pain and fatigue. So I'll be finding out about all of that today. It's great to talk to you, Jo. how are you doing today, this morning?
Oh, it's brilliant to meet you, and thank you for that nice introduction. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like you said, despite having fibromyalgia, I do have to do lots of different things to manage it during the day. So I'm at my stand-up desk right now. I have a hot water bottle, just keeping my back nice and warm. But yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm actually on my lunch break as well, so brilliant timing.
Yeah, awesome. I think lots of other people will be watching this on their lunch break as well. We've got lots of questions about your own journey through chronic pain and fatigue, your 100-mile ultras, and your coaching advice to others. But first, we'll just give a little shout out to the sponsors of the podcast and the broadcast. It's NAC Sports Nutrition. So I've been using their chocolate and maple syrup gels to give me the energy I need for my new weekly strength and conditioning sessions. So if you want to try them, and also their energy bars, their waffles, energy and recovery powders, use the code WildGingerRunning, all caps, for 15% off at uk.nac.com. So there's some people joining us live, so I'll just do some little shout outs before we ask you some questions, Jo.
Brilliant.
Dave says, hey folks. Andrea says hello.
Hi.
Chris said he's having a cheeky little listen on his lunch hour as well.
Oh, great.
So Jo,
I heard the word chocolate in the beginning. The word chocolate, when you said chocolate, I was like, I want to try some of those.
Yeah. There's a really nice chocolate and peanut butter bar with the NAC Sports Nutrition. So yeah, definitely get involved with that discount. So thank you so much for being here, Jo. So you first experienced chronic pain after a car accident in 2008, is that right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, my son was only 1 year old at the time. I literally dropped him at nursery, and I was back at university doing my health visiting training. So it was a 1 year full-time postgraduate degree. And within the first week of starting, that's when the car crash happened. And it was quite a high speed, but I was stationary. So I was twisted really suddenly. And at the time, it was like, I didn't quite know what had hit me. But my ear had popped. I couldn't hear out of this right side. And I was just I came back quite quickly, but I think I was knocked out briefly by where I hit my head.
Yeah.
So I literally, it was one of those where the driver ended up getting the ambulance and I got taken to hospital. And I was I was on my way to my placement, and so I went to the hospital. But me being the way I am, I'm quite determined.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I realised that I'm okay and I'm kind of with it, I was straight back on it, back at work.
Wow.
And they sent me away with basically just a little bit of a whiplash leaflet saying, keep going.
Yeah.
So, and me being a nurse, I kind of knew, you've got to keep going.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the first time I'd been in a car crash.
Oh, no.
I'd actually had another one years before, when I first passed my driving test, and I was the person that slammed into the back of somebody else.
Oh, no.
So I knew the difference, but so yeah, I just did everything I could. I was back at work straight away, and I spent all year studying and working and then looking after a 1 year old. And I kept thinking that was why I wasn't getting better. I kept thinking it's just because you're a busy mum and you're studying, and and it's because of you're doing and reading and working on a computer. So lots of years went on, and I just didn't shift the pain.
Yeah. And what was the pain like?
So initially it started out just being this really extreme, just the right-sided neck pain. But then that just kind of brought on a lot of migraines, which I'd been doing. I think I was already sensitive to migraine, so I'd already had migraines in the past. The ones where you get the visual flashing, and then it's the headache's going to come. But that they started to increase, as they can do with any increase in stress or worry. But just as times went on, it kind of became lower left back pain, and then the leg, just the left leg, just there's parts on my left leg that just hurt continuously.
Oh God.
And I just kept thinking I'll be good to go, it'll settle. So I had the first sort of 3 years where I think I just struggled massively. Really, I still did manage to function and be at work and look after my kids, but it was literally, it was just really, really difficult, massively difficult to get through. And I speak to a lot of people who have had very similar with post-COVID, and a lot of what they describe, they're all quite similar.
Yeah.
So I just literally just kept doing everything I could, going through physiotherapy, strength, doing everything possible. And then it wasn't until later down the line that I was inspired with running. So I'd always done a little bit of maybe treadmill, never done any outdoor running, just gym stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd always been really naturally active and into sport, but never running. So it was more like cheerleading, karate, skating, all kinds of activities. But I could barely even do any of those things.
Yeah.
Which I'd normally done, which really was upsetting. And well, long story short, but because I'd just had a baby as well, and then I went on and had my second child, so there was like a 2.5 year gap. So again, it was, now that I'm breastfeeding, maybe it's breastfeeding that's triggering this pain, maybe it's all the pregnancy things, and I always had a lot of hope, and I always did everything I could in my best power, to get better. And I had a hernia too, an umbilical hernia. So in a way that was preventing me from being able to do some things also.
Yeah.
So I love it how things happen, like timing wise, just perfectly for a reason when you look back on your journey. So I just had the surgery done, and I was like, right, I'm going to do, once that's done, I'm just going to do something.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get more fit and see whether that helps.
Because had you just sort of like stopped doing everything then, with everything hurting? Like, did someone diagnose you with fibromyalgia at that point?
No, nothing. I didn't get diagnosed. This is the surprising part, and I think it's because I've always been hopeful and done everything I could, and it's masked it for the diagnosis. It was 15 years later from.
Oh,
it was
wow.
only a year. It was literally a year ago this month that I was diagnosed.
Oh right, wow.
And this is where the 100-mile ultras, I think, come in into the plan.
Obviously.
Because I was thinking that this is nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, pain doesn't, I was being told you need to strengthen up your glute muscles, or strengthen up this, or stretching this, or I was doing everything that in my power that I knew of.
Yeah.
But yet it wasn't helping with the pain.
Yeah.
Which is, you kind of go away just every time thinking, well, what else can I do? Like, I've literally done weights, I've done full yoga courses, everything that I could. So the diagnosis didn't come till really late down the line.
Okay.
And compared to what a lot of people I'd worked with lots of people with fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So even I was like, no, that's not me. There's no way that that's me, because I didn't know a lot about it, and I'd look at the worst case scenarios, and then I'd look back and think, yeah, I understand how it could become that way. My sister also has fibromyalgia.
Oh gosh.
So I kept maybe comparing myself to my sister.
Yeah.
But the difference with me and my sister is that I had a lot more support. Like, I had a supportive husband, and whereas my sister became a single parent, so she didn't have as much support as me.
Yeah.
And I think that was also really helpful, like on my journey, like to allowing me to become as well as I could with having that.
With the condition. And just in case people don't know what fibromyalgia is, what actually is it for those who aren't familiar?
So my best way to explain it is that it's to do with the pain signals in the central nervous system. So it's a real life, like, a lot of people might think it's a psychological pain, but it really is genuine. It does cause real pain, and it does affect like the muscles and parts of the body where they just hurt intensely. And I've done a lot of research like more recently since having the diagnosis, and I've actually found out about this person called Dr. John Sarno, and he did so much research on where it can come from, and I'm in my early days of like listening and learning a lot more. And they call it TMS syndrome, and it's not commonly known in the world of medicine. And so I think that a lot of what he did was really helpful, because they talked about how it can come from repressed emotion in the subconscious mind.
Yeah,
so
it's it's displayed physically, like emotional stress is displayed physically. Yeah, makes total sense.
It's really interesting.
What does the TMS stand for?
Tension myositis syndrome.
Oh, I see.
But it's not even just back pain or fibromyalgia type. It's like it involves a massive amount of symptoms like carpal tunnel, gastroesophageal reflux, irritable bowel syndrome. And he was an orthopedic surgeon. I didn't plan on telling you about this guy, but I really love. It's really interesting for anyone that is dealing with any chronic pain.
Yeah.
Like his work, he's healed a lot. Not always fully, but for some people they have healed like instantaneously with this understanding also.
Wow.
Because he was an orthopedic surgeon, and he realised we're operating on people, and we're not helping them, and it's not.
It's not their body; it's their mind.
Yeah, and he. So I definitely recommend. I can share the links afterwards for some of the information that I found out about since. None of the doctors have heard of it either. None of the consultants, the rheumatology appointment that I go to, the GPs, they're all like, oh, who is this? Because it was, I think he's like one of the best kept secrets. So it's really interesting to know about that. But in general, it's just pain. You don't sleep, so you're constantly. I'm awake when I should be asleep. I'm constantly moving in pain. It affects memory, concentration. For me, it affects my eyes. So I get sensation of foreign objects like sand or grit, or blurriness. So no matter what I'll do, I don't see clearly some days. So it can be really different for a lot of different people. But like really muscle stiffness, just generally just really difficult to power through and get out of bed on a morning.
Gosh, it sounds terrible. It sounds like almost a physical manifestation of a depression, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that you just need to just go to sleep for a month, and rest.
That's it. But then so for me it was like they were my biggest issues. It was just not the sleep. It's like you've woken up like you've had a banging hangover constantly.
Oh gosh, it sounds horrendous.
Not that I drink.
I think I'd struggle to carry on living if I felt like that all the time. Like you can bear that for a day, but for days and days and days and days, and not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing there's no cure, or not being diagnosed, or like
there is no known cure.
Yeah.
No known cure. And I'm like gonna be that one person, and I'm like, surely there's got to be something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not accepting that, but it's a lot of people. When you look at people who do get affected by chronic pain, fibromyalgia, they are very determined, strong people.
Yeah.
I think that they call it personality type A, the ones that are the people that are really conscientious and want to do well, and there's a bit of a correlation with that.
Yeah.
That there's more people that with that sort of personality style that do get affected by it. But actually, in the whole world, I was just watching a video that popped up from a physiotherapy company that do lives, and they were doing a session on fibromyalgia, and they said only 2% of the world population are affected by it. So it's not as common as maybe I thought. Maybe because because of the job that I've done for so long, I've met people with it. So to me, a lot of these really rare conditions
They're quite
feel
not
like
there.
that. Yeah,
Quite
that's
common.
it.
Well, I looked on the Fibromyalgia Association. It says they think up to 1 in 20 people could have it, but it's just not diagnosed, or people aren't coming forwards about it because they just think they're a bit run down or whatever, and they're just putting up with it. So I think it might be more common than people think. And I think so. In my research, I found that Lady Gaga had it until quite recently. She's been struck down by it for a number of years, and she's only just this September mentioned that she feels like she's getting over it now. So but she doesn't know why or like what's happened, but she is now in a nice happy relationship. So I don't know, maybe the mental health side of things has really done her some good.
Well, I'm classed as what they said to me is the best case outcome that they've ever seen.
Oh, great, fantastic.
So I was like, well, that's really nice to hear, and I did like hearing that. But then on the flip side, this is what happens. You get sent away because they look at you and think, well, you're a great outcome.
She's okay. Yeah, she's running 100 miles. She's fine.
And then you go home and you're struggling massively. So, but it is nice to hear that you are the best case, like doing well. Yeah. But it's nice to hear for other people that are struggling, like what you can still achieve.
Yes.
And it does affect women way more than men. That's one of the other statistics.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So that's another interesting part of it.
Interesting side of things.
Like why more women? Why more women than men? But interesting.
Yeah, that is really strange, isn't it? And but then, what? Even though you were so sort of sleep deprived and in all this pain, what made you think, I'll start doing some running? Was it just the fact that you thought, well, I can't be in any more pain, so I may as well just go running anyway? Was it that sort of thought?
Well, it was like I'd heard running's is really good for you, and it's like the best way to get fit. And I always loved running anyway, even though I wasn't a runner. I used to run everywhere without thinking twice, like just to get fuel in my car. I'd be like, run in, run out. I'd run to the supermarket, run back. So even though I didn't think I were a runner, I loved running.
Yeah.
And so there were always something within me that thought, I'd love to run outdoors, but I'm a bit too scared, like, to be seen, on the side of the street running. I didn't think I knew how to do it. And so when I went back from work from having the hernia operation, and I was on some training with another health visitor that I'd not seen in, like, since before I'd given birth. So I'd not seen her for ages, and I used to work with her. And I looked at her and I was like, wow, she's looking amazing. Like, she just looked like she was glowing. She was looking in great shape. And I just got chatting with her. And I was like, wow, you're looking brilliant. And I was feeling really rubbish that day. Oh. And like every day, it was just a chore just getting out of the house. And I somehow managed to do it. And then when I saw Marie, she's lovely. And she was saying, I've done the beginners Run England 10-week programme for beginner runners. And it was in a local running club, Pudsey Pacers, not far from where I live. And she went, Jo, you'd love that. It's so, like, right up your street, you'd love it. And I was like, well, I have been thinking about doing something. And I've just had this operation, and I've just come back from having the operation. And so she sent me the link, and then I signed up for that. But I was like, there's no way I can do this by myself. And right at the time when I were thinking of that, my mum had just been diagnosed with severe osteopatellar arthritis in both knees.
Oh gosh. And
my mum was 55 at the time, and so she's 66. It's 11 years ago when this began. And they said you need both knee replacements. They both need doing when we'll book you in for both at the same time. My mum was like, no way, no chance. So I told my mum that I'm thinking of doing this 10-week run-in, and I'm definitely going to do it. And did she want to do it? My mum was like, I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
So, thanks to my mum, honestly.
And she did it, did she, with the knees?
Yeah, my mum joined it too.
How was it on her knees?
She did well. She did it. She did the 10K at the end of the 10 weeks.
And she didn't need replacement knees?
She's never had the knees replaced.
So has the osteoarthritis got better in the knees then?
No.
No?
No, they still say that it needs to be replaced, and they'll be shocked if she don't come back begging in a couple of years.
But she's feeling fine. She can't be feeling too bad.
She's managing it. She's managing it, yeah. So she didn't want to have the surgery, especially not like
at
like
55.
Yeah. She does suffer with pain, but she controls it quite well.
Yeah.
She doesn't do running now. She does more gym and strength, and she does a little jog.
Yeah.
So she's not like doing a lot of running. So my mum came with me, but then I got overexcited and I invited a few friends as well.
Excellent.
And so they ended up being a little group of us that we all went together, which was nice. So that was the beginning of my running. And I think I was finding probably like instantaneous benefit.
Yeah.
I kept going back. I didn't find it easy. I found it really, really hard, and but it didn't make pain worse. And that was the thing. I think you're fearful of doing things when you're already in such a bad way that whatever you attempt to do in the beginning, you're thinking it's feeling worse or but for me, luckily it wasn't worse to the point where I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And if anything, it was like becoming a little getaway from it. So
yeah,
I just got really into it. Like it was years and years before I stepped up to a half marathon or a marathon. It was right back in, I'm just trying to think. So it was 2013 because my daughter would have been 3, and she was born in 2010, and then it was 2018 when I did have the next moment, another big shift in mindset, which is what triggered the getting into the marathon, ultra marathon.
Yeah.
That came on the back of me doing my coaching training.
Yeah.
Whilst working as a health visitor at the time. That came during the second day of the training. I had another bit of an instant moment of
wow. An epiphany.
Yeah. An epiphany. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. Oh, tell us about that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that happening, if I'm honest. Because again, I'd gone into that training, probably searching also, because I think when you're struggling with health and you've got one thing after another, you become a seeker of help, a cure.
Yeah.
And I'd always loved helping other people and coaching, and I didn't realise that coaching was something that I was ever going to go into. But the whole team that I was leading at the time, I was leading a health visiting team that was 25, mixture of nursery nurses, staff nurses and health visitors. And they all said to me, "Oh, Jo, you should be a coach. You make a brilliant life coach." And I kept thinking, well, I like the title, but I don't quite know what that would be doing. And I'd always loved mentoring students, and so one of the team members, she was like, "Jo, I found something for you." And she said, "Master Coach." And I was like, "Ooh, I like the title."
Yeah.
Just being a bit silly. I was like, "Master Coach." And she said, "It's voluntary and it's within your working hours." So I was like, "Oh," because I could only work part-time as well, because that was another thing. I didn't increase the hours because every time I did more hours, I couldn't manage everything.
Yeah.
So I was on part-time hours, and I was told, "No, we can't release you to do the training."
Oh.
But I was I was reading the profile. I was like, "But I really need to do this. It's going to help everyone, all the patients that I work with, all the team." And I was like, "I can take annual leave.
Yeah.
I can do it on Easter." I looked at the dates and it was during the Easter holidays.
Wow.
And I was like, "I can do it during Easter." And eventually they agreed that I could do it, because it's not very helpful. It's supposed to be about developing your career. So I did it was a 1-year course, but it involved a 5-day intensive in the beginning.
Yeah.
And on day 2, we were doing a thinking exercise, and it was all about, are your thoughts helpful or are they hindering? And what they split it into 4 areas of thinking. So we had questions that you're asking yourself. We had memories, things that we're remembering from the past.
Yeah.
Imagined future, so how we imagine the future. And then statements, so all the things that we say into ourselves. They literally just split it into 4.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I like the Audi badge. They drew a little diagram, but it was a circle, like an Audi. And I looked at it and I was like, right, okay, so you've got, I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying things, I'm asking myself questions. Yeah, I'm definitely remembering the past, and yeah, I'm imagining my future. And then all we did was we just ticked a box.
Yeah.
For those things. Is it whether it were helping us or whether it was holding us back, whether it was hindering, good or bad or positive, negative. I was like, right, okay. And mine, were focusing on my current situation with being in, because we had to pick a problem that we were struggling with. Mine was pain. And then when I did that, I was like, wow, this is my thinking. My thinking is not helping me at all. But the actual exercise that we did at the time, I thought it was the exercise that was the biggest help. Like I thought, it's the exercise that's helping me. I've got to just keep doing this.
Yeah.
But then when I look back on it, it was just me knowing that where it was coming from. I think I was able to somehow drop it really quickly, whereas before I'd not even with all that training in nursing training, I'd been to university twice and done public health nursing. They never focused on any of these areas, so I didn't really consider it, which sounds a bit
mindset side of things.
It sounds really simple. So that was like one of the moments, but somehow I had that real big shift within me, and it was the April that we did May, Easter, and then September was my first trail marathon.
Wow. Yeah.
It wasn't that long after that I just
signed up and went for it. Yeah.
I just did it. Yeah, and I genuinely, before having this moment of insight that I had, doing a half a marathon put me in bed all afternoon. You know, I struggled so badly and I was like, I could never go further than that.
Yeah.
This is my limit. I believed that was my limit, and that I didn't even enjoy doing that. And to be fair, I felt a little respite during all the running, but I didn't get pleasure from it. Like, you know, like it wasn't as though I was getting a lot of enjoyment from it. It was a bit of a force thing in the hope of making myself better.
Yeah.
Whereas everything flipped after that moment.
Really?
Yeah, it really genuinely did, to the point where I just started to get enjoyment from it. It was no pressure. I knew I could, like, it was just like a belief, different level of thought. It was all coming from the thought.
Wow, that's the power
because I think
mindset.
You do. Yeah, you feel every single thought that you're having.
Yeah.
You physically feel it.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I kind of did use the exercise to purposely change it. But you know, when you're kidding yourself, even if you're trying to physically change your thought, I realised after you can't change thought, and it's okay to have a thought that's not a good one. But I were able to drop it then.
Yeah.
And then I guess the better that it got, the better that it got. I didn't cure the pain or the fibromyalgia. I'm still the same person. But it allowed me to release my potential.
Yeah.
Even despite having that, and it genuinely was that little exercise I did use for quite a long time afterwards. Wow. And I shared it with other runners, and they started using it, and they were starting to get benefit too.
Brilliant.
And that was just one simple little thing that that I could do.
And that led on to you running 50 miles. And you did the Welsh 3000ers, some 50-mile ultras, 100 miles at Endure 24. This is a couple of years ago, and you came third lady there. And then you did 76 miles the Jurassic Coast with your brother. You did 110 miles along the Chester Way Ultra.
Yeah,
and that was just last year. And you did all of that. And it was just because you just thought, well, it's going to hurt anyway, so I may as well run as well.
Yeah, and I just knew that I'm powered by my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I know at times I'm going to have ones that are not so good.
Yeah.
And I know I don't have to believe them or take them seriously. Yeah. And after those first 2 100 milers, I thought I need to go for a third.
Mm-hmm. A hat trick.
Yeah, because at each time, like, you're kind of thinking, were it a fluke?
Yeah.
Like, can I do it again? But I did it again this year in June. So only a few, end of June.
Yeah.
I did the 100 mile again at Endure. I like to do convenient local.
Uh-huh.
Just because I know that I'm going to need to, I don't want to be like traveling too far, and we're having 2 teenagers as well.
Yeah.
It's like juggling in it with family and life.
Yeah.
So the first one that I decided to do, the thing is with that, I never knew if I'd make it to any of these things.
Yeah.
But I think just because of my thoughts, I didn't care whether I'd make it or not.
Yeah.
Because I knew that my health and wellness wasn't reliant on anything outside of me. So I know that whatever I achieve, the goal is not attached to my feeling.
Yeah.
It can only be attached to my thoughts.
Yeah.
So that was so helpful for me when I realised that, because I was like, well, Jo, if you do it, brilliant. If you don't do it, still brilliant. And I never followed a plan. I never had a training plan. I never had a nutrition plan, because I've always had to just deal with whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Like,
yeah,
if I feel like going a bit tougher today, then I will have. I can't follow a plan. I never looked at a plan.
Yeah.
It just kind of, I just went with how a bit of an excitement and a passion more than anything.
Well, we've got a question from Severine, who's one of the patrons, and she says, I'd be interested in finding out how Joanne knows when to train or not, and when you are training, like what's too much and what's not enough, because it sounds like you are an expert in that.
Well, no, I love that question, because after achieving these things, I've now gone back and actually looked on plans to see what would have been recommended and whether or not I would have achieved what I did if I'd have looked and not gone with my own inner compass, my own inner I should have a better compass because I don't know the direction.
Yeah,
that's why we got. But then I would have never even believed I could do any of that. I genuinely wouldn't believe it was possible for me, because when I look back on my Garmin, I did all of that on an average of running 18 miles per week.
Yeah.
So I'd never did long high mileage weeks. I only ever did what felt achievable, that I was excited for, that was comfortable.
Yeah.
That I just felt good for.
Yeah.
So.
And then you just rocked up at the 100 miler and went, right, well, I'll just see how I can get on.
I did. So I did sign up for the 100 miler, having only ever done a maximum of 40 lightweight walk.
Yeah.
In lockdown, and that was something I did with a running buddy because the event were cancelled.
Yeah.
And so I did that, my first ever unofficial ultra, and during lockdown I'd only done every week. I decided what I did was just ask myself, what do I think I need to do to achieve it? And then I'd look at what I physically could fit in that felt achievable, and I decided to myself that I can do one run a week, and it was going to be a 10 mile, but when I did the route it was an 11-mile route, so I decided I can commit to doing that once a week.
Yeah.
And then I knew I could commit to doing a 5k as well on top of that.
Yeah.
So the training that I did for the first ever time that I did the lightweight walk route, I'd only ever done that on that was my weekly for 12 weeks. I decided I've got 12 weeks. I reckon if I do this every week for 12 weeks, and then nearer to the end, I can up it and do like a one-off, maybe 20-mile distance. That's just what came to my mind. I just did what came to my mind, and I just thought up loads of different ways, like let the brain go free and just let it run wild and see what you come up with. And because the coaching that I did was solution focused, it was like, it's all within you, like how to do it better than anyone else, and it was all releasing from within you. And it kind of came on the back of a blind coaching that we did, where it was like a series of questions and you just answer the questions. And so I came up with this idea on how I'd do it, and I was good for that, because I was like, yeah, I can do that one, and it felt good, and that's what I did. So then when it was time to think about doing it, and then I just got inspired by Kevin Sinfield with the 100 mile when he did his first 100 mile.
Who's he?
The ex-rugby player.
Oh, okay.
And he did it for my mind's gone blank.
A charity of some kind.
Yeah, it was for Rob Burrows.
Oh yes, yeah.
And now they have the Leeds Marathon, and I got inspired by what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did a blind coaching thing. I was like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
I actually somehow believed that I could do it too.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how. I had no idea how.
So you just sort of, when you're thinking about what your body feels, like, how would you advise Severine to know if she's okay to train or not okay to train? Like if she's fatigued or something like that. Like, how do you know when to push through or when to just go, I'll just have a bit of a rest?
I'll answer that one, because I'd done pain management courses where they talked about pacing it and like being aware of, actually holding yourself back. And I'd done the courses and it never felt right for me. I felt worse for holding back by purposely resting, and I kept being told, you should maybe not run. You maybe need to rest more. And I tried that, but I felt worse for it.
Yeah.
So genuinely, I would do what you're feeling, what feels good for you.
Yeah.
I had to throw all the advice out of the window, if I was honest. I know I'm a bit of a rebel, but it just, I went through like trying to do it how I was advised, and because you can't predict, but I think for me, understanding where it all came from, the feeling came from the thinking, and just knowing that I didn't need to get stuck in it. So I always say, if you feel like doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Does that answer it though?
Yeah, or maybe like if you don't feel like doing it, maybe just do a
Then
mile.
don't. Yeah,
Or just go out and do a mile, and if you're still not feeling it, because sometimes you can not feel it and you get into it and you're like, oh yeah, actually this is great. So maybe do a mile, and then if you're not feeling it, just walk.
Yeah, if you're not feeling it, do something.
Yeah, just do something.
That's it, because there's so many times I don't feel it, a
Yeah.
lot, but I've never regretted going despite not feeling it.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, it's always made me feel better.
Yeah. And I'm just interested to know, because you've run 3 100-milers now, like I would think that even a person without chronic pain and fatigue would feel some negative things from running a 100-miler at some point during the course. What do you tend to feel? Is it worse than what you think a normal, in inverted commas, person might feel? Or like, how do you feel when you're doing those 100-milers? Like, are you tired?
Yeah.
Have you got blisters? Like,
what we're really interested in, I think this is how it ended up being, that I did get finally I gave in and said, I actually think I might need referring, because what I realised was it didn't hurt any more than what it can hurt on a day where
you're not doing anything,
where I'm not. There were no difference between not doing anything and doing something as drastic as a 100-mile ultra.
Wow.
Like I didn't feel like I was hurting more than when I'm not doing that. And so I knew that there's more to me. There is something more going on than I know.
Yeah.
And I think that was that point when I did like go back finally and say, I'm still really massively struggling. I don't know what else I can do to help with this pain. And I did take painkillers to achieve those, by the way. So don't think for one minute that I didn't get through doing that without needing a dose. A dose of. So what I don't take it very often, only when I really need it. But I take cocodamol.
Yeah.
So there's some codeine in there, which I think if without that, then no chance.
Yeah.
There's no chance that I could do even half. So I did a trial where I didn't take anything for 3 months, and I could do up to half a marathon, and that was tough. So I still do use painkillers sensibly. I do my best not to use it as often.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Jo, you've got to accept the fact that actually you have got a chronic pain, like fibromyalgia, that it is a thing. And even if it is, no matter where it comes from, it's a thing and it manifests in the body. And that guy I was saying, that John Sarno, how they describe it is what happens is the brain deoxygenates body parts. So they can class it as a deoxygenation in different body parts, which can then bring it on. Mm-hmm. But I don't know for sure, but that was his theory.
Yeah.
And it does make a lot of sense. So yeah, I did need that. But yeah, it does hurt. Blisters. Oh, I've lost so many toenails and things like that, and dressed it.
Yeah, but it hurts anyway, so let's go and do it. And so you've now put everything you've learned into practice with a 5-day program, haven't you, for people recovering from chronic injury and chronic pain and fatigue. So
starting this evening.
Yeah, starting this evening. So what does that entail? Tell us more about your 5-day to 5K program, and how other people can learn about it, because it's free, this first one, isn't it? And it's
I'll do it again.
Fully booked, but you'll do another one. So yeah, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I'll probably do one initially I thought I'll do it every 6 months, because it's going to coincide with when I launch my 6-month program as well, which I named Marathon Minds.
Oh, cool.
I don't know, the name just came to mind, and I thought I'll call it Marathon Minds because it's a mix between health and the psychological element and the physical. So I came up with the idea when I was away on holiday random, because I thought, what can I do that can really help people that just need to make that first step or return following, because I'm getting a lot of I'm speaking to a lot of people who have long COVID, and I've worked with quite a few clients with long COVID, and I'm thinking this is very similar to my journey. And for me, I think a lot of what was already out there, there were nobody who really had an interest in running, or I just struggled to find the person that I was just being told, don't do stuff more than do it. Be active, but so I just wanted to be able to help others to release their potential. So there's I've done it in a 5-day section. So day 1, I'm going to work on like fear, like what is it inside of us, whether it's subconscious or whether we know of it, what is it that's holding us back. So day 1, I'm going to really work on that. So when I worded it, I thought 5 days to 5K, people might think they're going to go and do 5K in 5 days. Some people have done it before we've started. And I'm like, wow, because I know that it's possible. And I think why spend 12 weeks or however long? Because you're going to limit,
can't you?
You can limit your potential, can't you? So I think if I'd have followed a plan, I'd have limited my potential, because I would have only ever achieved what was on that plan. So by not having a plan, I achieved way more than I ever thought I would. And I wanted that for other people too, especially if they're struggling with similar and other issues, also not only chronic pain, but if they were recovering from chemotherapy or cancer treatment, because I've helped, like my dad had cancer, and again, some of the things he achieved during his treatment were quite incredible. So I'm like, it is possible. So day 1's going to be that. The day 2, then we're going to build on the confidence part of it. I'm trying to remember without just off the top of my mind what each day is. I should know this because I'm starting tonight. Day 3, we're going to do the warm up, cool down. The type of stretch I use, hyperbolic stretching. I'm very active. I have, like, even now, I have lots of hula hoops.
Brilliant.
So, and how can I forget to mention this? Because this is one of the biggest. This is how I achieved it on low mileage.
You did a lot of fitness work that wasn't running.
Hula hoops,
Hula hooping.
So
wow.
I started hula hooping at a similar time. And that gave me that's what I'll do. Because I realised this afterwards, later on, when I was looking for a car recently for my son. I was like, I don't want to be an old banger with a high mileage.
You want to be a low mileage with hula hooping.
That's it. And that's how that was a big game changer.
So hula hooping is the secret weapon in ultra training.
That is the secret weapon.
Hula hooping. But also, I do think your genetics have a bit to do with it, because your dad was an Olympian, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so
he was a gymnast.
So you've got Olympic genes.
I hope so. You never know, do you?
I think so.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he I think whatever he had in him, it stayed with him till the very end, for sure. Because he was the guy that got in trouble for doing like 100 press-ups with a central line in his arm.
Oh my goodness.
And they were like, you shouldn't have done that. Whoops.
They always say stuff, don't they? All health professionals. We have a coach on here, Tim. You probably know the coach that comes on. He was told he'd never walk again, or like definitely never run again after his car accident, and he had loads of operations and was in a coma for 2 weeks. And he's like winning ultras now, and he's part of an ultra running team. And I think that you get told the worst case scenario by health professionals just in case that does happen. So then when you start running again, you reckon like you've beaten all the odds. But I think it's more common than you think, isn't it, just to disregard the advice of health professionals and just do it anyway.
I love that. I love hearing that. Yeah, and I met with a guy last night, similar story, called Dave Brown. He's a growth coach, and he broke his spine. He was in a coma for 3 months. He fell off a mountain. Oh
my goodness.
And he's just done the spine.
Wow.
So it's amazing.
He broke his spine and now he's doing the spine. That's a good story.
Yeah. I think it happened when he was 23-year-old.
Wow.
And he's like 44 now, but he's gone on and achieved so many things. I love hearing stories like that. It's helpful.
Oh, yeah. And you just think when people are doing such things with such pain anyway in their lives, it just makes a person like me I don't have any chronic pain or anything like that. I'm a bit tired, but I've got a toddler. And you just think, oh, well, I should be doing 100 miles then, shouldn't I? It's very inspiring talking to you. And,
good.
And
good.
What's your next race then? Have you got anything planned?
So for me, I have got one planned. It's a local one in January.
Yeah.
And it's one of the guys at the running club. He's called Dom.
Yeah.
He calls it the Dominatrix. My husband's like,
Brilliant.
He's going, Joe, what's this Dominatrix thing that you're doing? So he'll
be disappointed.
He does it for charity, and I did it last year.
Yeah.
And it's local, so we go like round. I've forgotten the routes, but it's all trail, it's all off road, and it's like Otley Shevin and the moors, and I think it's about 35, or it's not a massive ultra, but it's a nice distance. So that'll be the next thing that I've got planned. And then in between then and now, I go with invite, or like if somebody invites me and they want me to come and do something, then I'll be like, I'll do that with you.
Amazing.
So like this weekend, a girl that I've been coaching, she's doing a 100k event, which if I'd not had the 5-day event on that I needed to get back in time for, I would have done that with her.
Yeah.
And a few other runners want to do the Leeds Country Way. It's 100k.
Yeah.
And we might actually just randomly do that at some point, but we don't know when.
Yeah.
So I've not got anything apart from that planned in January.
Yeah.
So I just keep what I know I can comfortably do regularly, and I don't worry if I don't do it either. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't get one long run in every now and then, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I stick with, on a Sunday morning, they do a 10 before 10 run. Okay, so I think if I attend that as regularly as possible, keep myself at that level.
Yeah, it's probably that consistency as well that really helps. If you're doing your 5k every week and your 10 miles every week, you're just like consistently always doing that. And then the hula hooping and all your stretching. Like
I've upped it slightly. It's a 10k once a week. The 10 mile once a week, and then it'll either be a park run or something like that. I run 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
Like if there's an opportunity and it feels right, and I think I'm free.
Yeah.
And then along with hula hooping.
Yeah.
Not
hula
just
hooping.
waist hooping.
The secret
I'll do one
weapon.
Yeah. I'll stand on one leg and spin it round, and I do balance and all kinds of stretching, the hyperbolic stretching.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to say earlier, when we're talking about health professionals, well, being a health professional, I know what it's like on that side where you want to actually say to people, but you've always got to cover your back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you kind of like off record, off the notes, you just want to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
And you know that they're going to do better if you do say that. I mean, I usually just find a way of getting the point across.
Yeah.
That I know is going to be more helpful for people.
Yeah.
But I was on the receiving end. I think I've probably been there where people have just wanted to say different to me as well.
Yeah.
But if anyone is interested in hula hoop, and I'm obsessed by it now.
Do you teach it?
Well, I do voluntary.
Yeah.
I do a voluntary on every Tuesday at 6 p.m. In Leeds.
Yeah.
And I had a few people that asked if I could teach them, so I decided to do a little group. And we've been, oh wow, it's been way over a year, all year round, no matter what the weather.
Brilliant.
Even in the dark.
Yeah. What do you do outside then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Even
amazing.
in winter.
Have you got light up hula hoops, presumably, so that you can make really cool shapes?
Yeah, I did have one last winter, and now I can't get it working. The batteries won't seem to work.
Maybe it got wet.
Something's happened. I take them away when I go abroad as well, because they fold up and I put them in suitcases.
Wow.
So I take it with me. But I've got a few. I've got quite a lot. Massive collection.
Yeah. Oh,
different sizes.
I'm going to have to get involved with this, because it sounds like maybe I could run 100 miles if I just do a bit of hula hooping and a bit of dynamic stretching.
Definitely. Yeah.
So before we draw the really exciting and inspirational chat to a close, I've got some quick fire questions for you. So, Jo, do you prefer a morning run or an evening run?
Oh, wow. I should know the answer to that straight away. I think I prefer evening.
Yeah? Evening run. Cool. Do you like to drink wine or beer after doing a running event?
I go wine.
Wine, okay. Would you prefer a wild camp or a bunkhouse if you go away somewhere?
Oh, I go wild camp.
Wild camp, wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you use walking poles, hiking poles, or do you call them cheat sticks like the fell runners do?
No, I use the poles. I love them. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a map and compass kind of person, or are you a GPS watch and follow a little dot on your watch?
You'll laugh at me because I can't seem to figure out any of them.
Follow the person in front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope for the best.
That is a legitimate navigational technique. Would you prefer to listen to Taylor Swift or Slipknot?
Taylor Swift.
Are you a cat person or a dog person?
I've got a dog.
Excellent. Are you glass half full or glass half empty? Now this is a really easy one.
Oh, I'm definitely full. Full.
Yeah. You're not even half full. You're like full to the brim.
I'm spilling over sides, aren't I? I'm a bit too much.
No, you're not too much at all. It's been massively inspirational chatting to you. Before we go, I just want to do a thank you to NAC Sports Nutrition. So you'll definitely need some of their gels, bars, waffles and drink powders for your next running challenge, or if you take up hula hooping with Jo. Chronic pain or not, you will need these items. So use code WildGingerRunning for 15% off at uk.nac.com. So before we go, how can people find out more about your health and wellbeing courses then, Jo?
All right, brilliant. So I've got a website, which is www.Joanne Lee, which is an L-E-E, Smith.com. And then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on TikTok as well now. I've started using a bit of TikTok.
Down with the kids.
I think I'm a bit late to the party there. I am on LinkedIn as well, but LinkedIn, not as much. I am on there.
Yeah, I always forget about LinkedIn.
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, there's LinkedIn. It's like
I can't keep
for like career stuff, isn't it? Not like talking to people.
Yeah, I find that in the world of like running, there's more going on.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
And now TikTok, I'm realising as well.
Maybe I should get on there. It's just one more thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, but if anyone did want to join the challenge, this 5-day challenge, I'm starting this evening, so there's still time to sign on for it.
Oh, brilliant.
I've got there's a page link. I could send you it afterwards.
Yeah, send it me afterwards, and I'll put it in the show notes and the film description below as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, because there's still time. It starts 7:30 this evening.
Okay.
And
brilliant.
it'll be on replay as well, so you can watch it back and catch up, or you don't have to be there live every night. Hopefully there will be some there live to make it a bit more fun. But
yeah, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, I don't even think I finished telling you what was in the rest of the 5 days, did I? But
oh, well, it's a secret. They'll have to join up, won't they?
That's it.
Well, we've had some really nice comments come in as well on the live chat as well. Maria Knutson says, so fascinating. Pain and fatigue are so tricky. Chris says, very impressive achievements without a structured training plan.
Thank you.
And today says, thank you for sharing your story, Joanne. So
thank you, everybody. It's nice to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have a chat with anyone who would like to talk more anytime. It's my passion. I do it all day, every day. I do still work 2 days in the NHS as well, so I'm balancing both jobs at the minute. So I do coaching in the NHS as well, which is really interesting. I do a lot of the career coaching, and I'm coaching volunteers to come into careers as well. So there's a good mixture.
Yeah, so a lot of coaching. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jo. We really appreciate your time today. It has been really fab talking to you, and I hope this episode inspires lots of trail and ultra runners, whether they have chronic pain or not, to stick at it and just keep running no matter what.
Yeah, you summarised that to perfection.
Thanks very much, Jo.
Thank you.
We will say bye to everyone.
Bye. Bye.